All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Welcome to
evening, Toby.
today's good evening.
Hi,
Welcome to
Olushola.
today's webinar.
Achille, how you
Nice to
doing,
meet you.
brother?
I'm good.
Good to see you again, my brother.
Same here.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Toby, and I'll be your host today. Thank you for joining us here on LinkedIn for what we believe would be one of the most important conversations for business owners in Nigeria today. And numbers don't lie. And in Nigeria, according to the Small and Medium Scale Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, which is SMADAN, in the year 2022, they had a report that says that 80% of small businesses don't survive beyond their fifth year. Many of them aren't struggling because they lack customers or because they aren't selling. In fact, some have impressive sales. The real cracks appear in places that many founders and executives often overlook: poor cash flow management, a lack of financial discipline, weak structures, and sometimes leadership blind spots. That's why today we're having a discussion titled Beyond Sales: Fixing the Real Reason Businesses Fail After 5 Years. And with us today, we have two incredible voices to unpack this. We have Olushola Olaleye. Olushola is not a stranger to the house, and he has also worked closely with business leaders across Nigeria to tackle the hidden challenges that derail growth. And we have our very own Achille Cossi, our CEO, the CEO of Bujeti, who has also built solutions that help businesses automate expenses and build financial clarity. Our goal today is not to present you textbook theory, but to get real about the mistakes we keep repeating as Nigerian businesses, and most importantly, how to address them. Before we go right in, I don't know if Olushola and Kosi have anything to say to the audience today. So over to you, Olushola.
All right, hi, Toby. This is feeling like some CNN type interview and live session. Amazing moderation,
Yeah.
hitherto us thus far. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I'm no stranger to the house. Ashil is my person. We talk a lot behind the scenes, and then it's a pleasure to be here. So the conversation will just go as smooth as possible. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here. It's a pleasure. Let's get right into it. Let's dive into the juice as fast as possible.
Yes. Kosi, do you have anything to say? I know you're not a stranger. I mean, we're on this together. So.
Oh, thanks for having me, and happy to see Olushola, and looking forward to learning some stuff from him again.
All right, thank you for that. So let's get right into it. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask our speakers to address, please submit them, and we may select a few to respond to. But just send in your questions. So let's get right into it. In Nigeria, we often celebrate revenue growth as the ultimate sign of success. Yet we see businesses with millions in sales shutting down before their fifth year. From your experience, Olushola, what is the real reason businesses fail despite having strong sale numbers? I mean, you've worked closely with them. So, what would you say, in your experience, is the real reason why they fail despite having strong numbers?
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Toby. Very brilliant question. I think, all right, in my years of being an entrepreneur and also being a consultant to people, I think the very first reason I'd say many Nigerian business owners, I wouldn't call them entrepreneurs, because there's a strong difference between an entrepreneur and someone who owns a business. If I were to
Yeah.
draw from Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, he talks about the fact that there are actually four major ways people make money. Way number one is to be an employee. You work somewhere, you get paid at the end of the month. But another is that you, do I say, own what is supposed to be a business, which means you're selling it, right? And the next one is actually proper business ownership slash entrepreneurship. Now, one thing that happens is that many Nigerian business owners or many Nigerian people in business are actually self-employed but think they are entrepreneurs. There's a world of difference, right? The very first difference is that uh, a self-employed person just owns a job and the job lives and breathes him, which means when he's sick, the business is sick and nothing can happen outside of himself. But an entrepreneur who is who you call a proper business owner, he's been able to build a system and a structure that can thrive independent of his physical presence. Okay? Now, this has very important consequences in business management. According to statistics, it's been said that the main reason businesses fail is not necessarily because they're not making so much money, it's because of poor cash flow management. Now, the reason for this is I think a whole lot of do I say I don't want to use the word Nigerian business owners, just say business owners in general, right? They have the tendency of confusing revenue for profits. That's I think is the very first thing. We are in a world where everybody is very hyped about turnover. What numbers are you doing? We're doing great numbers. And don't get me wrong, even me in the consulting space, I like it. I once had one young guy walk into my office sometime, wanted some form of mentorship on an area or two. I got talking to him, heard his numbers. The guy, I don't have 1 billion in a couple of months. I'm like, yo, good guy, great stuff, great guy doing nice numbers. I was excited. By the time we began to talk even deeper, I found out that uh, profits, right? All the money that comes right after. I'm not even talking EBITDA. I'm talking his net. I'm talking even his gross are not as grossing as the numbers look, right? And so we are in a world where people like highlights. We like to get excited and drunk on the cute numbers, but sometimes we forget that profit is different from revenue. That's very important. And I think that's number one. I think number two major thing I think that's the case is that the average Nigerian business owner spends too fast. They spend too fast. First and foremost, I think we have a mentality issue that needs to be solved. There's a tendency for many business owners to think that every money that the business makes is their own money. And that inability to separate your money from the business's inflow is one of the major, do I say, Achilles heel and the things killing people. In fact, I dare say that about for 95% of business owners, that's even the problem. The business is doing so good, but you just tend to think that the business is supposed to sustain you. Okay, and that's one of the major problems. And like I always say, there are two types of businesses: a standard business and a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business funds the lifestyle of the founder, whereas a proper business is one where the founder sees himself as an employee of the establishment, and that is important. When I tell people that I earn salary from my business, I'm a salary earner. The average Nigerian thinks as an entrepreneur, you are the one who calls all the shots and chooses when you're paid. But I laugh because if the business is going to be sustainable, you must see yourself as subject to the business. You must see yourself as someone who
Um,
taking the costs and weighing all the numbers before they do so. So that's important. I think finally, the third thing I think is responsible for the poor cash flow management is that we don't track expenses. We don't track expenses. And in many cases, honestly, I'm quite guilty of it also myself. As a serial entrepreneur, as somebody who's got a number of businesses and who keeps starting new stuff, founding businesses here and there, it could be tricky. So I remember I was in a very honest phone call with my accountant this afternoon, and the lady is very detailed. She said, "Sir, we're not doing this, we're doing that." She tried tracking some things from several months before that I might have also missed. And then here's the point: many times as founders, we are so focused on solving the next problem that we fail to patch the leakages, right? The leakages that come through a lack of tracking of the expenses that we do on a daily basis. So I think for me, those are the main reasons and the main contributions to the poor cash flow management. I think I'll hold my gun for now, so Achille can chime in.
all right, thank you very much, Olushola, for that. That was very on point. Yes, so Kosi, before we go right into it, he had mentioned three things that would typically cause them to do that. So he mentioned they don't track their expenses, right? So I want you to speak on that and see how, like, let people know how Bujeti helps them track their expenses, among other things.
Thank you. As you know, Bujeti, on top of being an expense management, is a financial control center, right? What that means is it's a companion to you. It's there to help you, right? As Olushola rightfully mentioned, there's a lot of sole proprietorships in Nigeria. There's a lot of people doing work in Nigeria, but you need help to actually run a business. Even if it's you are by yourself, you still need certain things to be taken care of. That's why you need help. And if I was to add to what Shola mentioned, that's one of the reasons too, because maybe you might need help, but you are not seeking help, or you need help, but you are not getting the right help, right? Either to structure your finances or to structure your own team, your business, as the case may be. So that's why at BJT we take those things in. Obviously, we've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and gathering their problems, issues, and shortcomings with whatever we are using, and we built something that will make sure it's not just budget, because obviously there is budget in Bujeti, but it's not just you budgeting. That's not tracking expenses. It's not it, right? There are a bunch of other things. We have automatic categorization based on your
By the way,
transaction.
Achille,
Yes.
Sorry to chime in.
All right.
My most used word, budgeting wise, is that budget. Oh. Today I started using I for one of my businesses, we've been really strong on use of budgeting. So I'm very excited about budgets. So I
It's
saw
like
that
budget.
one of
just
the
just budget it like Nike.
it's been really nice. I like the fact that everything is being tracked, and then you already begin to know when you're about to exhaust. By middle of the month, you know where you are at, and then towards the end, I mean, it's just been really nice. Just thought to just chime in on that. So that word budget has been my most used word for a bit now.
Awesome. But yeah, but actually we chose budget because, as you mentioned, it translates to being structured, being to be planning stuff, right? And that's the whole point. And as I was saying, beyond budget, we have categories, right? So you can have the same payment about a category that can be across multiple budgets. And that's also something that you might track, right? You might track just for fuel. You can create a fuel budget, or you can have a category budget, which can be used across the company. So on also you have branches, you have regions, you have subsidiaries, and all of those things goes into tracking, right? So we categorize and we made all those things possible in BJT. So you are not just tracking a payment. You are not just trying to be in budget or not go over budget. No, that's easy to do actually. Anybody can do that. But what we have is to give you that granularity. You can actually plan ahead, right? It's not just you are just making payment, you are tracking. You can plan your expenses ahead and know, oh, we not have enough money. Why? Because we can tell based on the inflows, revenue, right? Invoices come in, but there's not enough invoice to actually sustain your expenses. Or maybe you have to slow down on this and that, or you have to report this payment, that payment before you are able to make those payments without going broke. So it's not just expense management is actually easy, to be honest with you. But now is how do you structure? How do you plan? You plan before you make expenses. You plan before you make payment. You plan based on your income, based on your outflows. We can know by tracking your bank account. We can know by tracking your accounting software, and we tell you the right information, the right insight. So that's how BJT is helping and is planning to help customers either in Nigeria or elsewhere.
All right, thank you for that, Kirsty. I believe every business head on this call is they're jotting things down, because within a short minute, we've actually said a lot. So moving on to the next question, Olushola. What are the early signs? What are the early warning signs that show that a business is scaling on a shaky foundation?
Early warning signs that a business is scaling on a shaky foundation. So how do you know you're scaling on a shaky foundation? The very first thing you must understand about scaling is the fact that scaling is simply multiplication of what is already working, right? I take that again. Scaling is a multiplication of what is already working. And so what a shaky foundation with respect to scale will be problems that still need solving but are commonly overlooked. So here's what I mean. Scaling, like I said, is multiplication. For anyone, I'm trying to break it down because I understand that I have a diverse audience, okay? And so what we call scaling is simply, okay, I've effectively been able to sell properly to 5 customers or 10 customers, right? And in this particular geographical location, I have maxed out. Good stuff. But then there's a call for me in 3 other locations, right? And one of the greatest advice one of my mentors have ever has told me early enough growing up in business was always learn to listen to your business. And so let's say your business needs to reach more people who are definitely calling for its attention. And so what scaling is that what is already working in terms of catering for the 5 to 10 people, you now begin to multiply it and move that operational excellence to 2 other locations. That's scaling. Scaling is multiplication. However, what scaling is not is that scaling will not mask problems that are already existing. Instead, scaling will reveal it. Scaling will magnify it. Scaling is like the limelight. The limelight is punishing with its effect. The limelight is punishing. The limelight will condemn you more than it commends you. And so, a business that has a shaky foundation with respect to scaling will be a business that is already not doing the basics properly. What are the basics? The basics, for example, will be proper cash flow management. And honestly speaking, you are set up for failure even more when you begin to multiply. If so far so good in your one shop and in your one center, you are yet to track expenses properly. In your one center, you are yet to thoroughly go through the books. You are yet to thoroughly set budgets and fix them and adhere to the initial budgets that were set. Then there's no way you're going to be able to multiply and then do things properly and excellently, right? And so when we talk about shaky foundations, we mean get the basics correctly. Get the basics correctly. If you're ever going to scale, in fact, if you're ever going to scale properly, someone put it this way. A sage once said that you don't grow big to plan well, you plan well to grow big. So what that means is like you don't wait till you're up there. I was speaking at a conference recently, and I told them, I said, one of the major problems that you face as a small business is that you think that anything that has to do with structure and financial management, you are exempted from it. But you lie. You think it's only for the big companies. The funny thing is that's how the big companies became big companies, by structurally positioning themselves financially. No large company, no corporation, no conglomerate exists today and has been in existence for 10 years without having a strong hand on their books. They know what's coming in, they know what's going out, they know where the leaks are, and they know how to seal the leaks, because a stitch in time will save them 9 other times. And so, if I were to say this, I think it will also be a mentality issue to small business owners. You don't have to wait till you hit 50 million revenue per month before you join Bujeti. You don't have to wait till you hit so much or reach all the high figures. In fact, it is joining platforms like Bujeti that now help you position yourself for the next level of growth for the business. Because let me tell you something, no matter how much marketing is being done, no matter the quality of your product, if you are not a person of numbers, if you're not somebody who has a hang of finances, your growth will be stunted. You have to track your expenses properly. I think I'll stop there.
All right, thank you so much for that. Even me, I might not be a business owner, but I'm taking notes down because just in case no knowledge is lost, I would also implement what I'm learning here today. So thank you
Thank you,
so
Toby.
much for that, Olushola. Yeah,
Thank you,
so
Toby.
thank you. Yes. Kosi, a lot of companies focus on raising revenue, but not on financial discipline. What are some of the biggest financial blind spots that you see that, like, businesses generally, not just Nigerian businesses, repeatedly ignore?
But let me see. Olushola actually talked about one of them, leaks, right? How do you know there's a leak, right? So let's say you are pouring water in a basket. It's not staying, right? Because there is a leak. You might not know it, or you might actually know it, but you are not doing anything to fix it because you just expect that it will take care of itself. or you expect somebody else to do it, or it's not your responsibility, right, to take care of it. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as we call it, it's not obviously I can hire an accountant to do certain things. We can hire a law firm to do certain things, right? Because we cannot do it ourselves. But before you make that decision, you have to recognize that you need it. And when you recognize that you need it, you pay for it, and you get the right people inside or from outside to look at your business, look at your numbers, look at how things are going, and they will give you advice, right? So you have advisor, financial advisor, accountant, your CFO, your financial analyst or financial controller, and you listen to those people, right? But in general, people will go, well, it will cost me 100K or it will cost me 2 million. I don't want to spend that, or I can do it myself, or I know this guy that can do it for me. But the level of knowledge might not be there. The quality of the work might not be there. So you actually need to pay to get that. The saying goes, it costs money to make money, right? And if you are not willing to spend that money, you won't make money, even though you might think you are making money. And that's one of the worst things ever, is thinking that you are making money, you're actually losing money. You might have someone that you are still paying that you shouldn't be paying, but you don't know, right? Because the last guy you fired or the last accountant that worked for you set it up, and we forget because we fired the guy. We don't have any trace of it, and we are liable to pay them because we have a contract, right? Maybe you have a vendor that you owe money, or a customer that owes you money. You have an agreement with them, but when they didn't pay or they didn't respect the contract, they didn't follow through because you didn't know any better or you forgot. So either you will pay interest on what you owe the person, or the person owes you money, but because they didn't pay, you don't know. But because you're having a lot of customers, a lot of payments coming in on your bank app or on your neobank app, you are totally happy about it. And then at the end of the year, the auditor will come, start asking you questions, asking you, why did you pay that? Where is the proof? Who is that guy? And then you realize you've been paying someone you fired 6 months ago, because we didn't remove them from the payroll app or the payroll platform, right? So those are things that for your side, for me, it might be, oh, we are making 50 million a year, we are making $100 million a year. Well, some guy from maybe Benin Republic is sending us invoice and we are paying, we don't even know. So we are actually losing 2 million because we are paying some guy we don't know about. So those are things, because you think you know, but you actually don't know everything. So those are things, leaks, things that you don't know about, things that you need expertise with, but you are not getting the right expertise because you are trying to save 100K while you are spending maybe 200K on something that you shouldn't be spending 200K.
Thank you so much for that, Achille. Olushola, I don't know if you have anything to add to what you said, because, I mean, for me personally, I can
I
relate.
second. I second. I
Yeah,
third on. I fourth on, because I think one of the main issues that we have, I think, as small business owners in the ecosystem in Nigeria, for small business owners, is that in trying to save money, they end up losing more money.
yeah.
So a very good example: many try to look for the cheapest tax advisor, not knowing that they're setting themselves up for failure. And one of the things I've learned, right, not just as a business owner, but as someone who has been able to be the reputable personal brand, is that I spend money to make money. If they are great hands, I want them. If they are good hands, I want them. I don't shy away from paying 10 million naira for an ad if I know the ad can get me 100 million. I won't shy away from getting a solid employee to give the person 2 million naira a month if the person can get me, right, 50 million naira more. And so here's what I always say. I always advise business owners, I say, when you employ bright talents, they will pay themselves. Don't worry about how to pay them. Don't worry about, oh my God, it's away from my tax bill, it's away from my what's it called, salary sheet, and many more things, blah, 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 blah. Listen, if they are on board, they fall in line, they gel with the team, in no time, they will pay themselves. Same thing with services. Stop being penny wise and pound foolish. That's how I'll put it that way. It's been so long where you've been using one sheet upon one sheet upon one sheet upon one paper upon one paper to calculate your finances. If there's a way to automate it, just go ahead. In the end, you find out that it's even a cost-effective strategy. How much is subscription, for example, for apps like maybe Bujeti, 30,000 or something per month? Drach. That saves you. That saves you. That saves you about
Maybe.
300,000 more when you think about what could happen if you fail to properly manage your finances. So yes, Toby, I could absolutely relate to what you were saying.
Thank you so much. I mean, if I want to say something outside of maybe the business now, the business environment, even as individuals, you find us going, oh, I know someone that can do this thing cheap. And then you then employ, you do it, and you'll see that you're spending more than what you initially used to fix that thing. You spend even the amount maybe you probably used to purchase that thing, you're using it to fix it over and over and over again. So again, this is not just this conversation we're having can even be applied to your own personal life. So thank you so much for that, Olushola and Achi. So now that we touched on that, Achi, what would you say are the systems that people that business owners can put in place to make financial discipline non-negotiable? What systems can we put in place to do that?
Well, first of all, you can hire an accounting firm or hire a CFO if you can afford it, right? But if you cannot afford it, you need to find solutions somewhere else. Uh, Maybe Bujeti might be the solution, but you need to put structure in place. And one of the things also, as Shola mentioned, there's a lot of sole proprietorship, for example, in Nigeria, a lot of self-employed people in Nigeria, which is great because now we count them as businesses because they are registered. The thing is, as the person you believe you are, the you can do everything because it's your money, because you control it, but you cannot actually do it. So even as a sole proprietorship, you still need some structure. You still need to a proper structure that says we cannot spend more than this on that, right? To spend this, we need this and that, right? You already set it up for yourself, as Shola mentioned. To scale, you have to repeat what is working. So you need to put structure in place. It doesn't matter if it's using BJT or getting somebody, an expert to do it, a financial advisor to do it, but you need to put structure in place. Even if you are a team of one person, structure will take you far, discipline will take you far. And to piggyback on the scaling topic, somebody told me to scale your company, you have to scale yourself as a founder. So for you to scale, go from one person business to you having a team of 50, 100, maybe becoming a multi-continental or multi-national country, you need to have that discipline yourself, or you have to put it in place. You have to get someone to help you to put in place, or you use tooling to put it in place before you can blow and become bigger.
All right, thank you for that. Actually, Olushola, are you here with us?
Yes, I am. There was my visual went off for a bit.
Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
am. I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't go
So,
nowhere. I heard everything I still said. You have to scale yourself. Yep. Very important.
yes. All right. So, business owners in Nigeria often make financial decisions emotionally when it ties us down. So, such as they make decisions like borrowing at a very high interest rate, making unplanned
Ah,
expansion. I know you mentioned that earlier. So and so on. So, how dangerous is this in the Nigerian context?
my sister. There are many evils that could befall a Nigerian native right now. Such evils like having your house flood, evils like
Oh
being
my.
arrested by Nigerian police, evils like being part of the casualties of
Hmm.
maybe intertribal wars. But my sister, there's no greater evil than borrowing money from a loan app and not being able to pay back. This is serious stuff I'm saying. Now, you need to get this. For many Nigerian business owners, I'll say small, medium enterprise business owners, they can't really borrow money with their business name. because many of them are not LLCs, right? They borrow money as a person because, like I said, it's a business name. And many of them borrow businesses money from maybe, I don't want to mention names of loan apps or whatever, but many of them are actually sharks. And so, out of desperation, they keep on plunging themselves into a deeper hole and digging newer wells for themselves till they reach the abyss. It's a very serious problem, one that needs a lot of watching. Now, I say this because we need to pay attention. Many times you borrow it, you will think that as long as you get the money, your business will make a million and more of that money in no time. You say everything, make promises, make this, make that. In fact, one of the craziest ones is borrowing money from with high interest, or borrowing high interest, or taking high interest loans, right, with the desire to scale a business. You're joking. That's why, for example, I always advise one of two ways or one of three ways to scale your business, right? If you want to scale your business, if you are not currently bootstrapping, which means if you're not currently funding your enterprise by yourself and maybe borrowing money from friends, families, or foes, I'll just say maybe you should try and employ the help of what's it called? Maybe somebody who is looking at private equity. Just give an example. Maybe somebody who wants to invest in your business and give you patient capital. That's important. I remember scaling one of my businesses a couple of years ago. What helped me was patient capital. I did debt and equity. The debt choked my neck, but thank God for patient capital that came from equity that was able to help me. Patient capital is important. And I think also there's a bit of a mentality issue. The average Nigerian business owner or sole proprietor believes that 100% of his business is more important than 20% of a much better business. And you forget that 100% of $1 million is $1 million, but 20% of $1 billion is $200 million. And so this is where the real problem comes. And so sometimes I always advise take patient capital from someone who is willing to invest privately, or just take patient loans, whatever it could be. Or the third thing, maybe pitch to venture capitals and then find ways to have them buy into what you're doing. But what you must never do, I repeat, what you must never do is to take high interest loans, no matter how seemingly profitable and no matter how great the potential of the scale might look. Business is never 2 plus 2. In fact, sometimes in business, 3 plus 3 is 33. And you must learn this. This is important. So always run away from things like that. Run away from making emotional investments. I always say, don't go after your first emotion. Don't succumb to the second emotion either. Always filter it through the lens of logic and also get sound counsel. It might look like the best thing since sliced bread, this idea that will shake the world. Listen, you will not be the first person to have an idea. You will not be the first person to have an idea. Someone put it this way: people don't pay ideas, they pay invoices. Hmm? Your idea is cute, is good. Until that model is workable, I repeat, any loan where you don't dey see say pass 4% per month, this one per month, run no, run no. If not, they'll plaster your name and call it obituary, put obituary. He's dead, he's alive. You know what I'm talking about. So I always advise against stuff like that. And also, I think in the end, it all boils down to proper financial management. Let's be honest. If you find yourself taking loans that you know you cannot service, I think there's already a structural problem, a financial structural problem, because your CFO, for example, should be able to track every single thing. Ah, sir, we can't afford this based on our inflow and based on what we always have left at the end of every month. After paying for infrastructure, after taking tax, after doing expenses, how do we check for amortization? How do we do everything? After all of those things, this is always how much we have left. This amount goes into savings, then this amount can service a loan. Now, if your numbers were not already good, it's hard for you to be able to track how possible it is for you to service the loan. So, in my opinion, always speaks to something deeper. Okay? And many times, people who are desperate are people who are not students of financial accounting. I think I'll stop there. Because
All right.
one of the things that financial accounting does for you is that it not only safeguards you, but it helps you project into the future and helps you measure the viability of specific investments, and also the possibility of you getting into it and coming out unscathed. Do you understand? So yeah, I hope that
All
helps.
right. Thank you so much, because I had a follow-up question to that, but you've answered it perfectly. So thank you so much for
Voila.
that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right, so we have a question here. Someone is asking, how do you scale yourself? Actually, do you want to say something?
Yes. No, no, no. I wanted to take the question.
All right,
Okay.
Uh,
so go ahead.
how do
Okay.
you
The
scale
question.
yourself? Yes, as Olushola mentioned, for example, being a student of the game, right? I'm saying that mainly because, yeah, I'm a huge sport fan, so that's what we say in sport, being a student of the game. But business ownership
What
of being
club
a
do you
footballer,
support, Achille?
am I allowed to say it?
You don't tell me you're an
United.
Arsenal fan.
No, never. I'm
I
a
suffered.
United fan.
United.
Yes.
Oh
I
my
always knew
goodness.
you were my brother. I always knew.
Oh, the both
Well
of
done.
you. Okay, I think after this call we'll have this sports call. Well, now let's let's
Ah,
let's review.
sorry, moderator. We're very sorry.
Oh no, we're not
Sorry.
having this conversation, because I remember the last match you beat my team, so we're out of this
Oh,
conversation.
you
Moving
you're a
on,
Chelsea fan?
Hey,
moving on.
not, not
Do you
our fault
scale
if we are the best team in the kingdom.
Thank you
Um,
very much. In the kingdom.
so yeah, it's
moving?
being a student of the game.
Yeah.
Whatever you are doing, you have to learn, pursue growth. As you know, one of our values at Bujeti is curiosity, right? So you have to be curious about what is happening. You have to know what it means to get to the place you are going, and to do that, Shola mentioned mentality. You have to learn things. Um, I'm not Nigerian, right? But obviously, people think I'm Nigerian, so I'll be I shy away from making statements that regards Nigerians unless I'm with my friends so I can share my opinion. But there's this thing as a Nigerian by adjacent Nigerian, you need to unlearn. You need to be able to be humble to learn from other people. Whatever you think you know, you might not know it fully, or you might not have everything that it takes. And obviously, we are talking about emotion. Yes, I was told last week that I should take in consideration that Nigerians are emotional people, emotional beings. So that's true. I concur. But this is rationality. This is not about emotion. So we have to understand that there are some things, business ownership, succeeding, getting to the next stage, like having big goals. There's no emotion, right? Nobody really cares how you feel, how old you are, and which level of respect you believe I should give you, right? Obviously, as we are West African, we are Nigerians or Beninese, we do the same thing. So I will respect you. You will get the respect you need. But when it comes to business, when it comes to scaling, when it comes to going to another country to replicate the same thing that you've done in Nigeria, nobody knows you in Cote d'Ivoire, for example, right? Nobody speaks English in Cote d'Ivoire. Nobody needs to respect you. All they care about is bonjour, est-ce que tu as de l'argent, right? Do you have money?
Hmm.
Can you do this? Yes, good. We move, nothing else. So that scaling is really that learning phase. I think that's the hardest part when you have to forget what makes you, not fully obviously, but there are some things that defines you. There are something that defines where you come from. There are something you believe you deserve or you are entitled to because you are Nigerian or you are Beninese or Ivorian. No, at that moment, none of those matters anymore. You have to accept that, oh, I might be the dumbest person in this room. Um, I might be the person who knows the least in this room. And I will go and I will ask questions and I will get answers. And if somebody tells me something I don't like, I will reflect on it. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense. But I won't go by emotion, right? So scaling is, first of all, going back to rationality. Should I hire my brother? No, he might not be the best to do certain work. So I will not hire my brother. It doesn't matter what he tells me. It doesn't matter if my mom calls me because that's not the right decision to make. He's just maybe he's a second year student. I will not hire him to touch our engineering things, for example, right? He might be a third year student. I will not hire someone to do our finances, even if are not good, even though I know them. No, it's just not the rational things to do. So scaling is really going from being emotion to logical or rational, and then being able to unlearn things and learn new things. You need to learn new tricks to go further. Uh, I will end up with something I said maybe last year. It's like what gets you there is not what will get you there. So along the way, you have to forget certain things because now you are here, you are not there yet. To get there, there's more to do. And whatever you think brought you here is not even enough. It's not even adequate to get you there.
All right. Thank you for that, Achi. Moving on because I think we're running out of time. So, Olushola,
Yes,
many
yes.
Nigerian businesses they collapse after 5 years, despite having strong sales. From your experience, what are some of the hidden reasons that sales alone cannot keep a business alive? And if you were to rank between profitability, cash flow, and growth, which should Nigerian businesses prioritize first?
All right. So if I get you properly, right, you said what are the other hidden reasons, right, that Nigeria. So I'll be honest. There's several other hidden reasons. If I were to start, we will not finish, right? So money is there. Obviously, the whole money thing we mentioned is definitely part of it, but there are definitely many other reasons. So one of the other reasons was also one of the things that Achille mentioned. It's a major hole in, do I say, recruitment, in getting the right fits, right? Many Nigerian business owners recruit people emotionally. For example, imagine you're recruiting your girlfriend's. Help me with the English now. Maybe you're recruiting your girlfriend's younger brother, right? And then you want to fire him. Know that you are literally firing your relationship, and so that's an issue. And so many times leadership and team problems are a major reason businesses literally flop, right? And one of the other things I think I've noticed is also, I think, an ecosystem problem is that there's typically high employee turnover for many small businesses. I can't really blame them because many of them don't have enough funding to keep the brightest talents. And let's be honest, come on, let's be honest. Um, if you had a younger brother who was working with a place where he was earning 70,000 naira a month, and then some big boy tech firm, fintech firm like Bujeti are coming for your younger brother, right? What you expect? And they want to pay times 10 of that. Obviously, you advise your younger brother to run away. You get that? And then so that's one of the major problems, right? But I think, in my opinion, the biggest problem is a lack of delegation. A lot of small business owners, because they built the business by themselves at the early stages and because everything revolves around themselves, they find it hard to let go. They think that if they let go, nobody can do it like them. Nobody can own the enterprise like they do. Now, that's one of the issues I also faced in my early days as an entrepreneur. I felt, come on, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. I can sell coffee to a dead man. No one can sell better than me. I'm a fantastic salesman. Why am I employing someone to come and take over the DMs, responding to my clients? My God, how am I going to cope? But guess what? If you're ever going to grow as a business, you have to learn to build beyond yourself. And so that's one thing. Many founders want to do everything by themselves. They want to answer call, do this one, do that one. You can't scale, you stall. That's the truth. You're not scaling, you're stalling. You always want to think you are the brightest person in the room. You always want to think everything revolves around you. That's a major problem, And so, yes, I think that's one of the main problems: lack of delegation. They build around just themselves, and when they're sick, is when they realize that life is bigger and deeper than just building for yourself from scratch. And so, if I were to speak to any small business owner listening to me, I would say start putting measures to build beyond yourself. Have policies, have systems, have processes, and most importantly, have procedures. Let them stand operating procedures. Let every single thing that you do be written and documented, not because you will die or might die, but it's because the business should be able to outlive you. When I mean outlive you, I'm not saying even just after when you die, but also if you choose to resign and move on to greener pastures. Because, for example, you need to understand that you can also move on to greener pastures from yourself, right? I have a business or two that I founded and I just left. I still went there today. That's where I'm even coming from. For example, went to see how the boys are doing, and they're doing good. Okay, that was because I learned to build beyond myself. I'll save it. I think I'll take a pause here because of our time, and maybe just then. And I want to speak to one more thing though.
All
My
right.
last words. With respect to, I think he talked about scaling you before you scale your business. That's important. I believe that self leadership is the first level of leadership. Until you've led yourself, you can't lead others. Until you've scaled your mind, you can't scale a business to higher levels. And so the real work begins from the entrepreneur. It begins from his mindset. It begins from breaking limiting beliefs about himself, right? What do you see? Do you think the business can really get there before you go and start a pep talk in the office? Because in the end, time will reveal. The mental strength that you have built and the fortitude you have nursed in secret will show, right? As the business begins to hit the first hurdle, right? Will you remain? So you have to scale your mind. Your mind has to be scaled. You have to learn to lead yourself before you seek to lead others. And by scaling your mind, also, it means you have to give yourself to tireless and what do I call it? Endless learning, continuous learning. You have to keep learning. You have to keep learning. Yesterday's solution cannot solve today's problems. And so a leader has to be a reader, someone who is ahead of the curve. I can't remember who said this, but one of my favorite quotes is that um, losers react, but leaders anticipate. I repeat, losers react, but leaders anticipate. They know what's coming. Your ability to look at the market well ahead because of your analysis, because of your reading, because you keep abreast of happenings, right? You're able to know what's coming. You might not really be able to tell it in its exactitude, but to a given extent, you're able to tell something is wrong, something is coming. The market will go this way, the market will go that way. And then definitely you should be able to position your business for profitability even in the murkiest of waters. Yeah, so I hope that helps.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Olushola. We are running out of time, but I think someone sent a question to you. I think it was when we spoke about the interest rate as a business owner. So someone said, when can you say a business loan interest is high?
Depends on your business, depends on the ecosystem, depends on the level you're at, depends on the business's ability to pay back. And it depends on a lot of factors. I'm not going to come and tell you a percentage here. So, for example, if you're in manufacturing and maybe manufacturing fast moving consumer goods, your margins matter. So a very good example, if you're the CEO of Chicken Republic, Africa's largest quick service restaurant, the way you take loans are different from the way I in fashion take loans. And the way guys in consulting take loans. Their margins are crazier. For every 2,500 pack of food that you buy, their gross profit might just be 40%, 45%, right? After which facility cost, this cost, that cost, this one, that one, this one, this one. By the time you're done breaking down everything, their net after tax might just end up being, I'm giving an example, I'm not too sure of these, 15, 10%, right? Now that lets you know that there are little margins, right? And then they have to be very, very calculated. But maybe for somebody in fashion, it's different. The margins are better, right? Somebody in consulting is the human being and their expertise that is the raw material, right? And so it depends. I would say get yourself a good financial analyst. Also understand and check the rates. And also depends on the amount of money you're collecting. Somebody taking 20 billion will get better rates than somebody taking 20 million. Come on, that's how it works.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Olushola. Well, I think we are almost out of time. But to wrap things up, on the decision that changes everything, let me ask you, Cossi. So, from the financial system perspective, what's the single most important decision a CEO or a finance leader can make today that will completely change the trajectory of their business, not just to survive, but also to scale sustainably?
Beyond using Bujeti, I just the discussion earlier also that kind of relate to this as in um, scaling yourself and getting there. There's this thing I call firing yourself, right?
Mm.
So, as for example, as a CEO, as Shola was mentioned, you can fire yourself, right? You actually have the right to fire yourself because you are no longer, you don't have the skill set to do certain things. I mean, by firing yourself, it doesn't mean that you leave the company, you can leave or not. It's just to get the right people on board and get the right people at the right place, at the right position, right? And you can wake up one day and look, as Shola mentioned, before you go do your pep talk, you can look at the people you are doing pep talk to. Okay, will I go waste my time there, or I don't have the right people? So because if you have the right people, you might not need the pep talk, right? So as a CEO, one of the things you can consider is, okay, fire yourself. Maybe you might not be good at doing this particular thing. You are better at that decision. And that's why, for example, you would go, I need help because I might not be I'm not a CFO, right? But we build something that can help us do the CFO or some part of the financial controller or CFO work. You might need to go hire a CFO or go hire an accountant because you're firing yourself from being the CFO because that's not what you do. For financial controllers, what you can do is start saying no. That's what we ask. Say no. Why? Because before you say yes to something, you need to check your budget. You need to check your money. You need to check your inflows. So you start saying no. When you say no, you check numbers, you crunch numbers, and then you can say yes or no, a definitive one. But just start by saying no. Put structure in place. The structure will say no to people, so you are safeguarded. Last thing is post-mortem. You, as Shara mentioned, you don't need to leave the company or close it, but you can do a post-mortem of, okay, guys, let's do this. What will happen if Bujeti fails? Or how can Bujeti fail? What will make Bujeti fail, right? And we go through it. I'm not thinking about failing. That's not my goal, right? But I'm not ignoring. If we fail, why will we fail? Oh, this is at the ways we can fail. Okay, good. Now we know, right? And I will not even react to it as in, oh, we will do opposite of that. No. Even in the list of things that will make us fail, I will look at it, okay, if we do this, we can actually succeed, right? And I can pick one of them, say, let's do that. That will save us all this problem. But from that perspective, I'm gone, right? I'm no longer Bujeti, I'm no longer there, you're no longer there. What will happen? This will happen, this will happen. Oh, it will fail. Okay, now we know what can happen. And then go from there.
All right. Thank you, Cossi. Thank you, Achille. Thank you, Cossi. Thank you, Olushola. I think this has been a very insightful conversation and very interesting like that. I think we might have to do a part 2 of this so that because I believe people still have pressing questions and to answer. So we have to do a part 2 of this. And I know that Olushola, you wouldn't say no. We'll probably have more than just 1 hour to do this. Because this is maybe it can even be maybe in an open space where we have people, we're having like a so very interesting. But thank you so much for
Just
your
talk to my guy. He will make it happen.
time.
I will have to come to Lagos then. Oh yeah, no, you have to host me.
Problem. We're going to use Bujeti to shut down Lagos, the biggest webinar you can ever have. So thank
Okay.
you for this powerful insights. And to our business owners and our audience, what we've heard today is clear. Sales may open doors, but it's the right financial structure, resilient leadership, and intentional culture that can keep the business alive beyond 5 years. And to our audience of business leaders and decision makers, the challenge is now yours. What's that one decision you will make today that changes everything for your business tomorrow? On behalf of our speakers and the team at Bujeti, would like to say thank you for joining us. Let's go beyond sales and let's start building businesses that last by putting into action some of the things, or if not everything you heard today. And as we wrap up, make sure you follow our speakers on LinkedIn. You can always, I'm sure Olushola will be very, very open to answer your questions. So follow them on LinkedIn to stay connected. And also head over to www.bujeti.com to explore how we take full control of our business, of your business, how you can take full control of your business finances. And there's something exciting for you. Just subscribe now and you'll be able to enjoy free annual subscription for 3 months. And that'll be all from us today. But make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms so that you can also get more insights to how you can manage your business send us messages, engage the Bujeti platform so that you'd see how much this can help your business on the long run, so that it can go beyond 5 years, and it's not just even before 5 years safe, you're already out. So just make sure you engage Bujeti, and I believe we'll be able to solve some of your financial needs, if not all. So thank you, Olushola. Thank you, Cossi. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Thank
much.
Toby. Thank you,
All
use the
right.
Achille. A pleasure.
use, use the
Thank
Yeah.
you
code
for
Olushola
having me.
free to get 3 months free on your subscription.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.